person turning it in as well as our office turning it in, try to help stop fraud. So it's kind of a large umbrella of everything that we can do. Those are just some examples. And we do have immigration services that we're able to assist with, questions, visas that we're able to assist with, grants, should you have any questions on grants. There are different options that we can help with. Going to the state level now, there's a huge issue with unemployment going on right now. I'm sure you've all been very informed of the panic and terrible process for our unemployment that's taken place in the state. So the congressman has taken action, not necessarily needing to, since he is a federal member of Congress and this is a state issue. We've had, many members of Congress just pass it off to the state saying, figure it out, this is not my jurisdiction. But Congressman LaTurner really is a very caring member of Congress for folks of Kansas. So what he's done is he's requested our office to get in contact with KDOL, which we have, and we've got an internal contact with KDOL. And so what we've been doing is sending referrals to this internal contact, hoping it'll help speed up their process to get them the money that they need. And we've seen success with that. So what we've done is that, as well as we've sent a letter to Governor Kelly from the Kansas delegation saying this needs to be addressed. You've had this issue for a year now. Figure it out. So that's how we've helped at the state level. So that being said, our office is a very open door office. Open door as in Topeka and Pittsburgh, and here we will be here monthly. I will be here monthly. The congressman might be dropping by, but we won't be advertising it. It would just be to check in on folks, really. So I will be here the second Tuesday of every month at this time. Yeah.
I hear you mean here.
Yes, at this library, as long as they let me, in Mound City. Yeah. Yeah. At 12 or 2. Wow, it's 2 o'clock. My day is flying. From 2 to 3. So is what I will be doing.
Will you be keeping that schedule for today like you came from the scene?
Yes.
Basically, it'll be the same on the second Tuesday of every month?
Correct, yes.
But it will be you and not the congressman?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Unless,
Unless otherwise, unless he's in the district and able to drop by, he will. But he's out in DC voting and their schedule's inconsistent. And so we're trying to be consistent with constituents to be here. Should you guys have any questions or input on legislation, we are here to take that information, get it to the congressman. I'm one of his staff that is his eyes and ears for the district. It's important for him to know what's going on and taking place. So that being said, if you do have questions about constituent services or legislation itself, or just personal questions, I'm happy to help answer.
The equity bill.
Yes. Yes, that's a pretty lengthy poison pill bill. The congressman was very against it, and it's scary to see what the Democrats' top priority agenda is, since it was one of their, was it HR 5 or 1? One. So yeah, that's their top priority in Congress for this Congress, which is terrifying. But yeah, very against it.
Yeah. Are they going to work so they can get committees on this stuff? Because they're just bypassing that right now.
So they do go to committee before they're getting to the floor, unless they receive the, I can't remember what it's called, to bypass it. But they are going to committees first. They're just quickly getting voted through committees.
Okay.
excuse me, ma'am, would you like a chair to sit?
Oh, I'm fine. I have one here.
I didn't see that.
I'm sitting and driving all the time, so it's kind of nice to see that. But thank you.
Yeah, Newsmax was saying something, when they have them on there, and he said they haven't been able to go to committee. They're just shoving things through without going through committee. The due process.
Okay. That's good to know. I actually haven't heard about that. I will have to look into if it's quickly going through from committee or what's happening, but there is a process that the House is able to do through House rules where they're able to bypass committee and get it to the House floor. It kind of gives minorities some power sometimes. So in the 115th, they did that for an immigration bill that was not coming to the floor. So part of the rules, but I'll look into that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
But anyone else, questions about congressman, legislation, input?
I have a question,
Uh-huh.
and this is, it's a worldwide question, because it's our fight and our battle against the sex trafficking. What is the congressman, like, does he have any input on any ideas? Because I don't ever see it in the mainstream media. They never talk about it. It is one of the biggest problems in our world, worldwide. 2 million kids go missing a year worldwide. That's a problem. What are they doing about that? Are they even talking about that?
You know, I think that's a great question. I know when President Trump was exiting his time in office, he addressed that concern, and it wasn't a mainstream topic, and it should be. Sadly, there hasn't been anything in this Congress in the 117th yet to address that issue.
Wow.
That has come to the floor. There's probably legislation surfacing that I could mention to the congressman to take a look at with help combating that. But I'm not too familiar with what is surfacing in the House right now. Yeah.
What committee is the congressman on, or committees, whichever?
Yeah, so he's on 3 committees, and that is the Homeland Security, Oversight, and Science and Technology. So those are the 3 committees he's on. Yeah. So, yeah.
On the HR 1, the Voting Act, do you think it's gonna have to go through our state legislatures? Because it's breaking the Constitution. The states are supposed to set up the voting rights, and apparently we're gonna have no identification, ballot harvesting. I mean, I didn't feel real good about the last election.
Right.
And I know I'm not gonna have any more, I'm gonna have less confidence in the next one.
Right. That's what we fight for as Republicans, is state rights. It seems to me like this would bypass the states' rights a little bit, a lot of it. So it wouldn't have to go to the state legislator, no, sadly.
But could the the attorney general for the state sue the federal government? You know, under Trump, the Democrats constantly were suing him. I think maybe turnaround's fair play.
Yeah, I'm not sure the ins and outs of that process, but I believe so, yes. I mean, as you look at states right now, I believe it's North Dakota or South Dakota, one of the Dakotas, they have signed a law with the transgender in sports in K through 12, overriding the executive order that Biden signed for that. North Dakota. So states are pushing back, but in regards to the HR 1, I don't know what legal process they have. Optional.
Couldn't it go to the Supreme Court and be overturned as unconstitutional if in fact it is? I mean, that's a long ways down the road.
Right. I would suspect surely that's what Kansas would do. Absolutely. I would hope so.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's do this one in the back there.
okay, go ahead.
Oh, back there? Okay, go ahead.
Is the disclosure of extraterrestrial presence on Earth on the agenda?
Good question. It's a question.
I can get that to him. I do not know that answer.
Thank you.
Can I get your name?
Tyler?
Okay, if you want to get with me after this, I can get your home address and try to get a response back to you if you'd like.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I heard that some of the states were banding together so then they could override or push back against federal government. Has Kansas joined that, do you know?
As far as I know, they have not, but I've heard the talks of that, especially for the Keystone Pipeline,
Yeah.
which I'm hopeful that would happen, but since it's state government, I'm not really sure what is needed for it, and if you could override Governor Kelly with that.
And I think there were 38 states that needed to be joined into this to really push back against the federal government, so.
Yeah, I haven't heard much about Kansas in regards to that, but I do know Governor Kelly does not, I know this is a little off topic, but she doesn't plan on getting federal aid for the recent freeze that we just had, unlike Texas and Oklahoma. So there's that. But else?
I have another one. What about HR 127? Have they, been pushing for that anymore? Because what I read down through that bill, that's the Second Amendment bill, and they're wanting to do a lot of, I mean, I'm all about getting background checks and things like that, but they're, digging into some really personal information of people that, I mean, if you're not a, you know, a bad person or have any kind of violations or anything like that, I don't know that that's right to do it. I mean, as far as a psych test, and if you're on any medication, you're not gonna be allowed to have a gun and things like that. What's his feelings on that? Is he, against that, or is he for that?
You know, I actually haven't talked to him about this specific bill because it just recently surfaced, and the Equality Act and the voters' pork bill that they passed has been hot topic right now. But he is, I believe, A-rated member with NRA. I mean, he's definitely pro-Second Amendment, and every staffer in his office is pro-Second Amendment. So if he wasn't in support of protecting our rights, I personally wouldn't be working for him. So he is a very strong Second Amendment Republican. I just don't know the details on the bill and his support or not support for it.
I know that, well, I don't know this, but I don't think there's anything out right now. What can be done about the private companies, or maybe they're publicly traded, like Facebook, Twitter, whatever, who on their own, through their own personal attitudes, were able to shut down the President of the United States of America? That is disgusting, and they can do it with anybody. So, can we break them up? Can we sue them? What can be done? I mean, I don't expect you to have the answer today, it sounds very complex, but it is a concern that our freedom of speech, even the President's freedom of speech, is in jeopardy. In fact, it's gone.
Yeah, I mean, we're censored, and we're becoming China, all under the nose of Democrats and their approval for it.
I'm not a big Facebook person, but I have some things come through, and now it gets that message that says we're the we're fact checker. Well, why should I believe them?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
I have a mind of my own, and how did they get into my, whatever I've gotten, for me to believe it? I just think it's a total invasion of privacy, and I think that they should all be broken up.
I agree.
Too small.
I agree. Censorship is a large issue going on right now, and I've been I idolize Senator Josh Hawley for his approach on trying to correct this. I don't know if there's any upcoming hearings in the House right now regarding censorship.
Probably not, because it's all for the Democrats.
Right.
and
Yeah.
All against our freedoms.
Exactly. With them leading the House and committees and hearings, it's an uphill battle, and we are trying to fight it. We will fight it. We'll keep going and swinging no matter what mobs come at us. I mean, that's just what we all have to do at this point, but especially Congressman LaTurner.
Don't look like they did Harvard, you know.
Oh yeah, I didn't think that was possible until I clicked the app and it wasn't pulling up.
And how did these companies get so big? Aren't there antitrust laws that are supposed to prohibit all this?
They did talk about, I think it's an amendment with a certain law.
Like 230 or something. They aren't like a newspaper that can be sued for libel or held that they're a publicly traded company and they have to follow rules. They gave them that in the beginning when they started, but now they're running all over the top of it.
Yeah, so I know that Republicans are trying to get something done about that, as well as the opposition. AOC was talking about tightening it more, kind of using the same verbiage in a way, saying that censorship is needed. It's been interesting to see Republicans and Democrats go at this, but AOC is trying to control what we're able to see. So yeah, Republicans and Democrats are both trying to attack the social media issue, and that network. But yeah, censorship is a huge issue that Republicans are facing. But I'm glad we see it, we recognize it, and we're trying to address it.
Same thing with the cancer thing.
The what?
Cancel.
Oh, cancel culture?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, cancel culture. That one's a little more difficult to attack since it's such a societal norm or societal pressure that the mob, I shouldn't say we, the mob puts on people. So what law can you pass to change that? I'm not really sure. So that's a struggle that we're coming across, but I think it's going to take grassroots type of efforts, not really laws that can help with the cancel culture.
I wonder if they could hit it like they, with the social media like they did in the telephone industry back in, with modified and final effect in 1982, where they broke up, they operated kind of as a monopoly, even though you had other companies, but they controlled about 85 to 90% of that industry. And likewise, Facebook, there is Parler, but it's still kind of struggling, but you have Facebook, Twitter, some of those, and and not only that, Facebook, they owned an Instagram, and so they operate kind of a monopoly. And
They are.
wonder if they could, that was through the federal government, through the courts, Judge Green.
Yeah. Yeah, something needs to be done about it. What's sad is we gave them all this power initially, and now we're having to come back and try to correct it. Especially book burning right now is a hot topic issue that's taking place.
What, book burning?
Yeah, Ben Shapiro's calling it book burning.
Well, that's not much different than what, you're talking about what they're doing now with Dr. Seuss and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really kind of equivalent, isn't it?
Yeah, it's part of cancel culture, but now they're erasing, they're gonna start doing it with movies, erasing any movie that's offensive or, book that's offensive and.
But it's their offensive, it's not
Ours.
You're right.
It's not
Yeah, like what's,
morally offensive, it's their offensive.
right, like what's the definition of offensive, it's your own
Right.
personal
Yes.
take on,
I think they give us credit for being smart enough to recognize things on our own and make our own decisions.
Yeah, we have a lot on the table to cover, and with Biden in the driver's seat, it's gonna be very, very challenging, but, honestly, thank goodness for President Trump and his voice that is heard throughout the country, so hopeful.
Does Congressman LaTurner, does he recognize Trump as our president right now?
No,
Then
we believe,
I wonder why he still rides on Air Force One. He still rides in the Beast, the motorcades. Whenever he spoke at the CPAC, there was the gold eagles on top of the flags. That means the president is, when President Trump went out, he had the 21 gun salute. Biden only had the 3 gun salute, which is the leader of a foreign country, which DC is considered foreign country right now because the corporation being dissolved. So I was just real curious because he is my president. He's the president of the United States of the Republic, not the corporation. Biden is not. Biden is the president of a illegitimate dissolved company, basically.
the congressman does, he voted against the election contest for Arizona. So he believes there was fraudulent activity in Arizona, and a few other states. He just wasn't able to vote because he ended up getting coronavirus. Wasn't able to vote. But anyways, that being said, no, we do recognize President Biden as the current president.
One challenge I'm facing at this library, and we have many local libraries around here facing this challenge as well, is that as school goes electronic, students are in their homes with their phones, computers, tablets, doing all at school. Not everyone around here, we have a poverty line and people don't have internet access. I was wondering if it was possible that you can maybe get the word along to him that it could be possible that internet could be seen as a public utility or resource that should be available to everyone. Because right now, our library, we're trying to think tank on what we can do to help try to solve that problem and alleviate that problem. Because our students being forced to go to school, being forced to do digital work and then not being given the resources to do that, having it count against them is just not right. And so we're trying to come up with ways so we can help students locally, but this is a bigger problem. And in the 21st century, the internet should be available for everyone, but there are no public resources for the internet. There's no public utility I can go to get regulated internet, but like regular prices and publicly available.
Right, so the congressman and Republicans in Kansas, at least, have been advocating for rural broadband. And I think you made a great point that I actually didn't think about, because we usually hear it from the agriculture standpoint. But you're right, education, students who are currently having to learn from home due to the pandemic or whatever the case may be, that is a good point that I will bring up to him, so thank you for bringing that to my attention. But yes, definitely advocating for that rural broadband access. But like you mentioned, you are uphill battle against the utility companies and those providers similar to us. So the federal government, therefore, is what we're trying to get to step in to help alleviate that issue between the two.
Part of the reason why I asked is because Elon Musk has some kind of agenda on trying to make this happen. But if it's private, then it's whether or not you can pay, and then it comes into just like Facebook can censor people. Can he go and censor people and prevent them from using his worldwide internet service? And if it was a public utility, there's at least one step we could take, making sure that there's no way that people cannot just be cut off from what is now a vital resource of information and connectivity for everyone.
I didn't realize Elon Musk was trying to tap in per se to that.
It's like Starlink or something like that, or Starnet or something like that. He's gonna be launching satellites. And that's another thing, is that we got all these satellites floating around above our heads, shooting this radioactive energy at us at all times. We don't have any say in that. The least they could do is provide us free internet or something. And all these cell phone towers, like 5G, that's another question I have. When is there going to be like clairvoyance on the truth behind what 5G is and what kind of effects it has on the human physiology? That's one question that I think is very important, and especially as more and more towers come up. If they stick one around here, we have a lot of people who live in the older generations, and just, I don't know how much of the media we can trust, but there's enough reason, if you read it on the internet, you can at least think of the possibility that that kind of thing does have an effect on the older generations in a very negative and adverse way. So if they come and prop one tower up here in the county, right in the middle of it, all these people are going to be exposed to these extra levels of radiation that they have no idea about how it even works or what they can do to protect themselves from it. And it's just a big old bubble that no one has any choice but to live in. And that's a very important thing.
Well, Tyler, I think you make good points. Let's touch base after this, look at your personal information, and I'll get it to the congressman.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, well, thank you again for coming. I'm sorry if you were misled that the congressman will be here. We are going to be reaching out to newspapers to inform them that it just is staff. The congressman could be dropping by any time though, so it's hard to tell, just depending on the schedule. But if you have any questions, feel free to stop by afterward.
I have a comment. I think from the questions, you can see that this group anyway tries to stay up on what this law is and what that law is. And it used to be that we could easily find out at least the crux of what the law was going to be and how our congressman voted on it. I can't find that anymore. I mean, maybe if I've done digging, is it in it? It used to be in the paper that this is what this law means, and this is how you're listed everybody in Kansas and Missouri. This is the now defunct Kansas City Star.
This might be a little bit more work on your end, but it's a public source that you can use, and it's called congress.gov.
Okay.
So if you go to congress.gov, type in the HR bill, Or even if you don't have the HR bill number, type in the phrase, the title that you think it could possibly be,
Okay.
and it'll pull up who's co-sponsored it, the latest action, who introduced it, and if it's a previous bill that's been already voted, you can click the roll call vote to see how they voted.
Oh, nice. Tell me again, Congress what?
Congress.gov.
Okay.
Does the congressman have a regular newsletter that he sends out?
He does. So if you go to our website, it's LaTurner.house.gov. It pops up as soon as you pull up the website. You can subscribe to the newsletter, keep updated. And if y'all have any questions ever, give us a call at our office. We can walk you through how to access congress.gov or newsletters or whatever you need. Do you have another question, Tyler?
Well, my thinking is that libraries are required to publish certain things in the paper. So like legally, if we have our annual open house board meeting, we have to publish it 2 weeks in advance and all that. And so I think, wouldn't it be appropriate that there was at least some kind of legal requirement that everyone is informed as to what the government is actually up to?
Yeah, I think there actually is. It's probably the Freedom of Information Act, at least to get your own personal information, but as well as the government's information. Yeah, there is. It's Freedom of Information Act, FOIA. But that's just one source I know how to access it right away, is congress.gov. There could be many more options and sources. I'm just not familiar with it.
Maybe I just need to tinker around on this website, find out what all's available.
Yeah, check it out, congress.gov. It's beneficial.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. That way when you hear a good title for a bill, you can see the pork in it or the real meat in the bill. So, well, everyone enjoy the day. It's beautiful minus the wind. So maybe you can get outside and try not to get blown away. Yeah, absolutely. And if you want, feel free to write down your name and I'll let the congressman know you stopped by. And always inform him of that. And also, in the future, if you guys have a federal agency issue, like I mentioned at the beginning, these are our privacy release forms. So you can contact our office and we'll get you this form. It's your written consent that we can reach out to agencies.
I can make that available on our webpage also, if that's okay.
Yeah, it's also on our webpage, but feel free to. Or you can link it to our webpage, that way we get it officially. So, yeah, so feel free to write down your names up here if you want. I can let them know you stopped by. Say hello if you say hello, that sort of thing.
Are you taking like just a head count to let them know that there are people who are actually interested?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Interested in him being here, or?
And interested in what our country's doing?
Yes, I am. And like I said, we will have a town hall eventually. Typically, it happens in August. But
Common sense, come back.
we're just getting out of the district before then.
Yes. There is no common sense, it's all about one left.
So sad. I think there's so many people that are just like us. But you look at the TV and you're like, that,
You know, could you leave your phone number and,
it's real, and you're like,
that would be cool. Thank you.
no.
And your zip code would be great.